Hisuian Typhlosion is now available throughout the raid day, which is going to start for a lot of people already. I was able to trade one here with my girlfriend as well. It's kind of getting a meme with those Pokemon there, but yeah, we traded again because I wanted to try it out in the Master League, but I didn't really want to use the starters for it. So what we went is I just traded a very old Pokemon to get a nearly guaranteed lucky. I think it's like 20% chance or whatever. So was the first one that I traded, and it was actually a 15-15-13, so I'm totally happy with this, as you're going to be able to completely see what this Pokemon can do in the Master League already in the first battle, getting the Draco Meteor on this Pokemon. But this was actually a lot of fun, because look at this game here. We're going to have a team that is actually kind of funny. In theory, this team is really funny because you have access to a Wild Charge on a Fire-type Pokemon as a Say-Swap, which is going to be the Typhlosion here. And you're going to still have a Fire-type Pokemon at the back, so you can basically try to get out a Water-type and try to then win with the other Fire-type in the back, and still have like coverage for the Water-type Pokemon. This was the main idea behind this one, but I have to say, it went way better than I expected. Like, I expected 0 wins, and I expected that we would not be able to showcase like anything here, but there are actually a lot of really good wins in there. There were some losses in there which were mainly due to lag, and yes, I actually had a lot of lag here for whatever reason. I usually never have lag over the last few ones, but it was feeling really clunky this time around playing. But still, I had a lot of fun, and we can win the first game here actually. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to have a great lead of the Giratina on the lead, as you're going to see the swap out into the Zacian, as I decided to go into my Typhlosion. I most likely should stay in a little bit longer, but the funny thing is about Typhlosion, if they are running Play Rough Close Combat, you completely hardwall their charge moves. But still, of course, you are a very squishy Pokemon, and the only thing that we can really do here is we can try to go for a Wild Charge, gonna get them low, can still go for a Shadow Ball afterwards, which is going to be Stab, as we are a Fire and Ghost type, and we're gonna get a shield advantage here, but of course the opponent gets a ton of energy. And something that really surprised me is that the opponent is actually having access to Wild Charge. Wild Charge would have knocked me out before already, so this is something that kind of caught me off guard, but as you're gonna see here, I can still at least go for a shield. I can still try to go for the Brave Bird, as we will see the opponent's Giratina coming in. I can just go ahead and go for the swap out, and they have of course the hardest answer to Dialga in the back, and so we can still try our best. I can still try to go ahead and go for the Draco Meteor on the CMP tie as well, just to basically see what the opponent tries to do. If they use a shield, I might have a chance, but sadly they let this move go through, which is the correct play that they can go for, and so we're sadly going to lose this game. We're going to have some very fast games here as well, so that's going to be great. We're going to have a Ho-Oh in the lead, which I kind of don't like to see, but the funny thing is they basically always go for Sacred Fire, and we can take advantage of this, and we of course have Wild Charge on this Pokemon, which would knock them out. Very bad for us is that we did not get the fast move in. If we get the fast move in earlier, we would have been able to reach the charge move here, the Wild Charge, before they would get to their second move, but they actually decided to swap out onto the Zekrom, which is even more unfortunate. And this was actually the first battle that I played with this team, and I felt like so much clunkiness. I wanted to go for charge moves, but I just wasn't able to tap anything anymore, and it was just not really ideal for me. You saw like a little bit of lag there, like always in those videos, because it's not actually 2x speed anymore, because I feel like having it a little bit lower in terms of speed is better for commentating, and I feel like a lot of people felt the same. So it's still pretty decently sped up, but not 2x anymore. But as you're gonna see as well, look at the animation of the Dialga. It is just kind of horrific on how the game performed for me here during those battles. But still, with the team itself, I had a lot of fun. We will see the Brave Bird coming through here. We can still get a shield. We can still get the knockout. Oh, we're not gonna get the knockout against their Ho-Oh. So they're gonna go for their Brave Bird and knock me out. But I have to say, there are still a lot of wins coming up. So let's stay tuned. Next opponent, we're going to have an Everlock in the lead, which is actually okay for us, but you lose this maybe even in the 2-shield scenario as a Dialga. The thing is that Icy Wind is going to 2-shot me after a little bit of Powder Snow damage, which is kind of wild, and we're gonna see of course the attack drop there as well. It doesn't 2-shot me immediately, but I think in the 2-shield scenario it might be just barely enough. So what you can do though is I think you can just go into the 0 shields and just get 2 shields advantage, but as you're gonna see, the opponent is gonna go ahead and go for a charge move now against our Typhlosion. We can still try to go for a Shadow Ball now, and with this we're gonna see the attack of the Typhlosion hitting against a Ghost type as well, doing a ton of damage against the Giratina, allowing us to go back into a Dialga. We have to use a shield here of course, because we need to kinda still keep us a little bit healthier. And so we can just go ahead and go for the full farm down. They go into their Dialga, I can go for the Draco and either get a ton of damage here or get the final shield. I get the damage and I take the damage as I can knock them out with the Ho-Oh, and now it's down to the Avalugg to knock out this team. And as you're gonna see here already, Ho-Oh is just chunking away from the health, and it's just going to be a farm down for me. They can go for still another Rock Slide here, which is a smart move by them to knock me out with that, but as you're gonna see, Dialga is just healthy enough to win this game. So if you enjoyed this showcase here, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Currently for me it's nearly 4 AM, so yeah, it's also cost me a little bit of Stardust here. Also all my XL candy for this Pokemon, I had to even use some of the normal candies to put them to XL candies, so would really appreciate it. And also we're going to see some very interesting games against the Zygard here still. Luckily we had the Zygard actually several times against us, which was not really that lucky, but we had them a lot of times against the Dialga, which is really good for us. And as you're gonna see here, I can still go for another Iron Head, and so we can kinda command this one, because if we're going to get the shield here, I'm totally okay with that, because I want the energy advantage plus shield advantage for my Ho-Oh. And as you're gonna see here, this is going to be huge, because we're gonna have now so much freedom with this Pokemon. This thing hits like a truck, especially the Shadow variant. Shadow variant, by the way, if you're ever wondering if you have like a decent Shadow Ho-Oh, especially as you're gonna have the raid weekend coming up in like 2 weeks as well for Ho-Oh, don't go for the Shadow variant for the Master League. The normal variant is 10 times better than the Shadow variant. I have to say this, I have the Shadow variant myself. I battle the entire time against the normal variant. Normal is just so much better. Shadow is just a little bit too squishy for the Master League, but of course it also has some benefits, like getting a ton of damage onto the Dialga so we can knock them out without even having to throw another charge move or just farming down the opponent's Ho-Oh. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. Horrific Lead again, we're gonna swap out against the opponent here into the Ho-Oh. This is the thing for this team. If you encounter an Excal, the game is basically over. If you encounter Ripia, the game is basically over. Unless the opponent really messes up, like there's not a lot that you can redo here, I can still go for the Sacred Fire, which is going to be able to get the shield, not the debuff, which is kind of sad. But I can still go for the Brave Bird, which guarantees me some damage, which I kind of wanted to do here, as this move is going to be able to go through, and the opponent is going to just try to farm up a little bit extra, but I can even let the move go through, and it's a Breaking Swipe, which does not knock me out. They swap out, which is a smart play, as they now have the Dialga against our Dialga. I can try to go for my own Iron Head, and they gonna go for the CMP type. This is most likely going to be the Draco Media, so I decided to use a shield, but it wasn't, it was just the Iron Head, and I should be able to, I don't know, yeah, I should be able to farm them all the way down here now, right? So there still might be some play. As the opponent goes back into the Ripia here, I would have liked to swap out there, swap out as well, as they're gonna go for the Breaking Swipe. I can swap out now at least afterwards, and as you're gonna see, we're going to see in the back a Lugia, and honestly, this is kind of close still, because I can still go for the Wild Charge or the Shadow Ball, which is both going to be super effective. But as you're going to see as well, they're going to go for their own fast move, which is coming through here as well. I can still go for my Wild Charge. It does not even two-shot them there at this point. Let's move on to the next opponent. We're going to have here the Palkia in the lead, which is kind of decent for us. And they all swap out into the Everlock. Everlock, again, is very tricky. Like, anything that's kind of rock-type coverage is really tricky for us. Anything that's like, yeah, I don't know, something like a Melmetal, something like the Everlock, something like the Excal. Those Pokemon are all kind of very tricky for this team. But it's still kind of okay. We can see here that we're gonna get the shield, but again, I'm actually going to let this move go through this time around, which might be a little bit of a mistake, but I can get another shield here, which is going to be great, as we now have a 2 shield advantage, which is really cool for us as well. And we can swap out into the Typhlosion. I don't want to swap out yet into the Ho-Oh, even though we do more damage with this Pokemon. I expect that they're gonna go for some debuffing moves against me, but they actually decided to swap out now into the Palkia, and here we're going to have a sad mistake by me, which you're going to see as well. I should just go straight for the Brave Bird at this point. I know that they're going to outspeed me anyway, which they're going to do here, but I decided to go for an extra fast move. Not too sure if a Brave Bird would knock them out. I'm fairly certain it would have knocked them out, but like this, I'm going to be forced to go for another fast move afterwards, which is going to put me at like 45 energy actually, which is going to be okay for me, but again, it's not going to be great, and we will see that the opponent can just swap out into the Avalugg. I can still get a knockout here, but now it really depends on what is in the bag. If we can actually still maybe win this game, if it's maybe a Mewtwo and I can catch a move, it's going to be their own Ho-Oh. And as you're going to see here, they're going to be able to just farm me all the way down. I don't get to another move, and still was kind of closer than I thought, but we can move on now into the next game. There are some very cool games still coming up. We're going to see it here as well. We're going to see a Giratina in the lead. It's going to be great for us, but the opponent decides to swap out into the Zygard. Zygard complete form here as well, fully maxed out. A lot of people have this Pokemon. Also one of the reasons why I just don't really like to play in this league anymore. But they're running Outrage over the Earthquake, which is actually kinda bad for me. Why is it bad? Because now I cannot swap out into the Ho-Oh onto an Earthquake because they don't run Earthquake. So yeah, I can still at least go for an Iron Head here, which is going to get them low, not get the knockout, but I can now take the move from the opponent, which is just going to be the Crunch, and I get a ton of energy with my Ho-Oh, forcing the opponent to most likely use a shield eventually. But as you can see here, I go for the Brave Bird. Main reason for this is that they can have Ancient Power and most likely will have Ancient Power. And so I kind of want to get some damage onto them before they get there, and they do exactly go for that, which I expected. But let's see what we can still do here. We're going to be able to go into our Dialga. Dialga should be able to farm them all the way down, but they swap out into the Solgaleo, which is kind of awkward. But we still have a Pokemon in the back, which can definitely deal with this Pokemon, because the best thing that they can go for is the Psychic Fangs, which would be neutral, but anything else would not be neutral. And so, as you're gonna see, the Psychic Fangs is coming through. We're going to still be able to take this one. We can still go for a Shadow Ball afterwards, which is going to be great. But the opponent decides to go for a CMP type, which I'm totally okay with. But I should be able to outspeed them because we were able to take one move. They should not be able to take a Shadow Ball here. And so they decide to use a shield, but also they decide to swap out into the Giratina, forcing me to go for another charge move. And with this game is kind of over because, yeah, like, what can I do? Wait, the opponent did not go up for more energy, and like this, I can actually go for the Draco Media. Is this enough? It's going to be so close. It is just barely enough and we can win this game. Honestly, I did not expect that we would be able to win a game against a Zygard Solgaleo core, the most busted core ever, with a Hisuian Typhlosion. Like, who would have thought? But yeah, we're going to see here now the next opponent having again some meta stuff here with the Zacian coming in. I kind of misplay this as well. I kind of was scouting out a little bit there. It's totally fine that they go for one charge move here, but I should try to swap out earlier, and they went for the charge move here, which is kind of annoying because my backline, especially against the close combat variant which we have here, is really good, and so it really kind of bothers me that I didn't swap out there, but it's lucky. We can still go for a charge move. Iron Head is going to get the knockout, and the opponent is going to be able to realign, and at this point I give up. Like, this Pokemon is just way too strong for my team. Again, Excadrill can break the entire team, and without shields, it's just not really worth it, so we decide to forfeit this game. Final game for today is going to be a very interesting one as well. Again, we're going to have here the MEWeedle as well as the Yveltal, and I do something funny here. You're going to see it as well, which sadly, spoiler alert, does not work out as I want it to be. But it's still kind of a funny idea in my opinion, because I don't think a lot of people know the moveset, and also you could actually run a Fire Punch, but I decided to go for the Shadow Ball first, which does not really make sense, you might think. But if that would have connected, I'm fairly certain that this Wild Charge here would have knocked them out. And I doubt that they're going to use a shield if they saw a Shadow Ball first, which you saw here as well then. But yeah, this was like kind of a strategy that I wanted to try out, but sadly they used a shield onto the Shadow Ball, and so it did not work out. But it would have been really cool if it worked, so at least I had a little bit of an idea behind this. But let's see here what the opponent is going to do, and this is kind of bothering me as well, again, because I could have played it a little bit better here. But we're going to see that we can still go for a Brave Bird against the Broguiere. They're going to let this move go through, very likely. But I'm forced to swap out now, of course, as the opponent is going to have the MEWeedle with the move. We're going to see it here right now, which is kind of special, I guess. They are running double Iron Bash, which is a pretty bad move in my opinion. Should be buffed in my opinion as well. Like, give it plus 10 more damage and it would still be kind of balanced in my opinion. But yeah, we would see here the opponent is gonna just start spamming them because they know that the superpower does not knock me out from this range. And yeah, I'm going to be able to go for the Iron Head here, which is going to very likely get shielded, and it does get shielded. And so the opponent is still forced to go for two superpowers, and I was like, Should I go for a superpower here afterwards? And the opponent goes for one more fast move and they go for the next one. And I'm fairly certain Sally just barely knocks me out here. And so the opponent still is going to be able to take one Incinerate and sadly we're gonna lose this game. But if I went for the Iron Head, I would have been able to win this one. So mistakes been made, but still, what a lot of fun to play this team. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.